Hi, I'm Hunter Gillens, and for my integrated project, I have been developing a cGMP training for General Electric Healthcare Division. This is a 45-minute classroom training that I'm developing that covers cGMP, or also known as Current Good Manufacturing Practices. So the healthcare industry that I work in makes medical devices. And in order to make sure that those medical devices are safe, effective, and that they do what they are supposed to, our business is required to follow certain regulations. Two of the regulations that will be hit upon heavily in my project is ISO 9001 and ISO 13485. This training will be presented to over 1,000 employees in 5 different countries. These different countries will be the US, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and Austria. So I will have to have this course translated into German and Mandarin Chinese as well. And when the course is completed, we will convert it into an e-learning course so that it can be used for further trainings when new hires start coming on board. In my project, I have several different milestones that I was striving to hit. First, I wanted to identify all of my stakeholders and understand who they are and what they can add to the project. Since this is an international project, I had stakeholders all across the world. That can be quite difficult in keeping everyone on the same page, getting people in different time zones in the meetings with each other, and it can get quite complex at times. We also had to decide what our key focus of the training is. To take all of 1345 and 9001 standards and put it into one training would be a minimum of a 3-day training. So that's not the intent or purpose of this. This is more, let's bring issues that we are facing and bring them into compliance. So we first had to come up with a topic that we were going to be using. Next, we needed to start creating our current content after we've decided on this topic. In order to do this, we did multiple different things. First, there will be some new content developed. We'll also looked and analyzed previous trainings that we already had and decided what we could reuse, what was helpful, what wasn't. And we were also able to judge where were our successes in the past and how can we incorporate those successes into our future. Next, we set up to perform test groups. This is the way that we can test to see how effective our training is before we take it live. We wanted to get feedback of, was it interesting? Was it engaging? Did they learn something from it? And did they feel like it was worth their time? After that point, and we had all our evaluations done, the content's fully created, then we would submit our content for final sign-off from our stakeholders. This is huge because we cannot proceed to give this training all over the world without our stakeholders' approval. After the content was approved, we are setting forward to move all this content into an e-learning course, as I said earlier, and also have it translated. And the last milestone would be to actually deliver the training to the people. So in order to come up with this entire project, we had to understand what is our vision, our mission, what strategies are we going to use, what tools are we going to use, so we could fully understand what this project was going to take and fold. We came up with the idea that in order to make sure that compliance was not just something we did, but that compliance was something that we became, our whole focus was on introducing the GMP training in a way that it can affect the culture of our business. So we already have a fairly good quality culture at our business, but it is always something that you can improve on. And we have so many new hires coming through right now because our business is growing, and most of them are in the millennial years. So there was a big focus that with a lot of millennials, they don't want to know what to do like their predecessors had wanted, but they want to understand why they are doing it. So we set up a way that we could make the training be more, this is what we're doing, and this is the reasons why we have to do it that way. If we can get the better buy-in from our employees, it's going to be a lot easier to have that strong quality culture and more compliance going forward. During my project, I ran into several issues already. One of the biggest ones we had was our production is sitting at 130% capacity. They are working Saturdays and Sundays almost every single week, and this has pulled a lot of my stakeholders into overtime and off of their normal shifts in order to keep up with this demand. In quarter one alone, we are 27% above our projections on profit. So our business is doing fantastic, which is great, but it makes this project so much harder to do when I can't have the focus that I feel like I need. Another big thing that came across is we found out that the GE Healthcare biopharma division is being sold off. So in the next 4 to 6 months, we will no longer be GE Healthcare. We'll actually be owned by Danaher, and we'll be functioning under a new name that hasn't been decided yet. When this announcement came in, all projects were forced to come to a complete stop. They had to first figure out what was going to be moving forward, what was going to be staying back with GE, and figure out how we need to start adapting these projects to work within the new company if they were staying. So that put me on hold for a few weeks, but we were able to get up and going again. And I also had a coworker who went out on medical leave. He's been out 6 weeks already, which has doubled my workload at work. So it has pulled a lot of my focus away from the project, but despite all of this, we were able to stay strong, and we are actually a couple weeks ahead of schedule as of the first part of this week. And that's when our last struggle that we have faced so far has come up. One of our main stakeholders, he has the largest group of people that this will be going to. So he will have about 430 of the 1,000 employees all report under him. So he's a huge stakeholder, and he has a lot of say on what this will and will not be. He decided that he did not like the focus anymore, that he had bought in earlier, because he had recently gone to a quality walk meeting where they were discussing different quality issues that they had seen over the last few months. During this meeting, he decided that we need to entirely change our focus. Instead of this is what we're doing and why, we need to rein it in specifically on documentation, and we also need to focus heavily on safety. So we are able to keep about 90% of our content and just adapt it a little bit and to focus more on documentation. But now we need to come up with an entire section to incorporate a lot of safety, because this was a good documentation, good quality management practices, but now it also has a major safety influence on it that we were not expecting. So moving forward, we'll first have to redesign the content we have, figure out exactly how that's going to look moving forward, and get that finalized. After we get stakeholders to approve on that, we have that all set, then that course will be translated for the classroom training, and we'll also convert it into the e-learning course. The system we use is called GE Learning, and it will be incorporated in that. And then that way, any of our new employees starting in the next few weeks, few months, can get this training and be brought right up to speed from the day they start. And the last thing that we'll still need to do is to disperse this content across all the different sites to move forward with it, because that's the whole reason that we are doing this project, is to get it out to our employees. So this project's been a lot of fun. It's not over yet, and we still have a lot of work ahead of us. But despite all of our issues, despite all the hard fall we have, we are sitting about where I was expecting us to sit. And I'm not sure how we were able to get to that point, but I'm glad that things are moving so well despite all the issues. Okay, thanks for your time. Bye.